Hello everyone, I am Micaela Embillaflor from Bachelor of Secondary Education major in Mathematics. I am here to discuss to you the three subtopics of reasoning in geometry, which are inductive reasoning, conditional statements, and deductive reasoning. But before we proceed to our discussion, let us have a simple activity which entitled Guess What's Missing. This activity will make each and every one of us be familiar to the terms that we'll be using in our discussion later. So, let's start. I will give you 10 seconds to answer each and every questions. Number 1, form of reasoning that arrives at a conclusion based on patterns and observations. Okay? So, the answer is inductive reasoning. Second, a step-by-step logical approach in proving an idea by observation and testing. Okay, time's up. The answer is deductive reasoning. Number 3, it is a statement that might be true, which might be tested. Time's up. The answer is hypothesis. Number 4, a statement that has two parts, which are hypothesis and conclusion. So, time's up. The answer is conditional statements. And the last but not the least, it is a result or judgment based on reasoning, research, and calculation. Okay, time's up. So the answer is conclusion. At the end of this discussion, all of you are expecting to define inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning, and conditional statement, compare and contrast inductive and deductive reasoning, understand each and every example of inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning, and conditional statement. Apply all the given ideas and knowledge for answering the activity after the discussion. I like to call it discussion time. This is our topic for today, reasoning. And there are three subtopics of reasoning, which are inductive reasoning, conditional statements, and deductive reasoning. Let us proceed to inductive reasoning. Ano nga ba ang inductive reasoning? Inductive reasoning is a form of reasoning that arrives at a conclusion based on patterns and observation. Sa inductive reasoning, may mga patterns na kailangan nating observe in which doon tayo makakakuha ng sagot or yung mga reasons na mag-a-arrive sa atin sa ating conclusion. So, dito kailangan nating maging observer. Ano ba yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng mga pattern? Ano yung sequence nila? Pagbuo natin ng conclusion, hindi daw ito laging tama, pero hindi rin naman ito laging mali. So, ito ay nakabase sa ating hypothesis at yun sa conclusion na ating mabubuo. Dito, kailangan lang natin talagang maging observer. Kailangan matalas yung mata natin, kailangan mabilis yung mind natin kung ano ba yung mga pattern, ano ba yung sequence niya, ano ba yung pagkakasunod-sunod niya, and ano yung mabubuong next figure or sequence. So, inductive reasoning is the process of arriving at a conclusion based on a set of observation. In itself, it is not valid method of proof. So, dahil nga ito lang yung na-observe natin, hindi natin malalaman kung ito nga ba talaga ay totoo or hindi. Kasi wala tayong matibay na evidence para mapatunayan kung tama ba talaga yung ating ginagawa or sinusunod na pattern, or kung tama ba yung pagkakaintindi natin sa mga patterns. The observer could then conduct a more formal study based on the hypothesis and conclude that his hypothesis was right, wrong, or only partially wrong. So in inductive reasoning, makakabuo daw tayo ng hypothesis, either right, wrong, or only partially wrong. Inductive reasoning is just a reasoning based on what we observe, based on the patterns that we observe. This is an example of inductive reasoning. As you can see, there is a pattern in the figure that we will explain more broadly later together with the following examples. Inductive reasoning is used in geometry in a similar way. One might observe that in a few given rectangles, the diagonals are congruent. The observer could inductively reason that in all rectangles, the diagonals are congruent. Although we know this fact to be generally true, the observer hasn't proved it through his limited observation. So, ito nga yung sinasabi natin kanina, dahil limited lang yung kaalaman natin, which is yung na-observe lang natin, hindi talaga natin alam whether it's true or false. We have limited knowledge. We don't have proof or evidence na magpapatunay kung tama ba talaga yung hypothesis natin. However, he could prove his hypothesis using other means and come out with a theorem. In this case, as in many others, inductive reasoning led to a suspicion, or more specifically, a hypothesis that ended up being true. But then, sa pag-observe daw natin sa mga patterns, makakabuo tayo ng hypothesis in which pwede natin siyang gawing isang theorem. For example, sa mga scientists, saan ba sila nagsisimula? Meron na ba agad silang mga proof? Meron na ba agad silang mga evidences? Standard studies? Di ba wala naman? So, nag-start lang din sila sa pag-observe sa mga bagay sa paligid nila, which is dun sila nakakabuo ng mga idea or knowledge na yun yung ini-improve nila para makabuo sila ng isang magandang outcome. So, dito sa inductive reasoning, dito siya nagsa-start, which is sa observation. Observe ng pattern, but yung hypothesis na nabubuo natin, pwede siyang mag-isang theorem in which that might be ended up being true. Let us proceed to the following example. Example number 1, kung bibilangin natin yung mga line, each shape, so makakabuo tayo dyan ng pattern. Sa una nating figure, meron tayong tatlong line, which is bumuo siya ng isang triangle. Sa pangalawang figure, meron tayong 4 na line na nakabuo ng isang square. Sa pangatlo, meron tayong 5 line na nakabuo ng isang pentagon. And so, ano kaya yung susunod na pattern? So, kung titingnan natin, nagsimula yung figure number 1 sa tatlong line, 1, 2, 3, and then number 2 is 4, yung square, number 5, pentagon, meron siyang 5 line, and then magka-come out tayo sa isang hypothesis na meron ka siyang kasunod na 6 na line, which is makakabuo ka ng isang hexagon. Number 2, what will be the next number in the sequence? The number given are 1, 7, 23, 51, and 93. So, una ang gagawin natin, maghahanap tayo, ano ba yung difference between 1 and 7, 7 and 23, 23 and 51, 51 and 93. 7 minus 1 is 6, so 6 yung difference nila, and then 23 minus 7 is 16, 51 minus 23 is 28, 93 minus 51 is 42. Puproceed ulit tayo sa panibagong paghahanap kung ano ba yung difference nila, which is hahanapin natin yung difference between 6 and 16, 16 and 28, 28 and 42. So, pag pinag-minus mo yung 16 minus 6, ang sagot niya is 10. 28 minus 16, 12. 42 minus 28, 14. Para magkaroon tayo ng pinaka-concrete na basehan, ipapahinusin pa natin siya, which is 10 and 12. Hanapin natin yung difference nila, and then yung 12 and 14. Which is, ang answer niya is 12 minus 10 is equals to 2, and 14 minus 12 is equal to 2. Dito nagkaroon na tayo ng specific number kung ano yung magiging difference ng bawat number. Para malaman natin yung next next sequence, ganito yung gagawin natin. Diba, yung last nating difference na nakuha is 2. So, magdadagdag lang tayo ng 2 dun sa 14, which is 16. Ayan yung 16. Tapos, yung 42 na last number natin kanina sa second layer, dadagdagan natin siya ng 16, which is magiging 58. And then, yun namang 93 na last sa given sequence natin, dadagdagan natin siya ng 58 para magkaroon tayo ng sagot na 151. Sa pattern na to, nag-start tayong hanapin muna yung differences ng given, which is nagkaroon na tayo ng hypothesis na ginamit natin para malaman natin yung kasunod na number sa given sequence. Number 4, what will be the fifth figure? Sa layer 1, meron tayong 3 dots. Sa layer 2, meron tayong 6 dots. Sa layer 3, meron tayong 10 dots. And sa layer 4, meron tayong 15 dots. Sa given sequence na to, mas madali natin siyang malalaman kung ano yung next figure kasi kailangan lang natin magdagdag ng isang triangle sa baba and then bubuo ulit siya ng isang triangle. So, ganito yung magiging figure niya. Ayan. So, magkakaroon tayo ng 21 dots. Nagdagdag tayo ng isang triangle sa baba and then nakabuo tayo ng 21 dots. Sa unang figure, meron tayong 1 circle. Sa pangalawang figure, meron tayong 3 circle. At sa pangatlong figure, meron tayong 6 circles. So, kung mapapansin natin, sa unang figure, di ba, isa lang siya. Doon sa pangalawa, dinagdagan lang siya ng 2 figure doon sa kanyang left side. And then, doon sa pangatlo, yung second figure natin, dinagdagan lang siya ng 3 circles sa left side. Ang magiging observation natin dyan sa number 4, sa fourth figure, dadagdagan lang siya ng 4 na circle sa left side, which is magiging 10 na yung ating magiging circles. And then, sa fifth figure niya, magiging ganito na siya. Dinagdagan lang siya ng 5 circles dun sa kanyang left side. And with that, makakabuo tayo ng 15 circles sa fifth figure. Sa last example natin, how many triangles would be in the 12th figure? Sa first figure natin, meron tayong 4 triangles. Sa second figure natin, meron tayong 6 triangles. Sa next figure natin, meron na tayong 8 triangles. And then, dun sa pang fourth figure natin, meron na tayong 10 triangles. So, dito sa pag-observe natin, pwede tayong makabuo ng isang formula. And which malalaman natin kung tama yung nagawa nating formula kapag sinubstitute natin yung mga given number of figures sa ating formula. So, dito makakabuo tayo ng formula na n plus 1. Saan galing yon? Ang n is yung figure, yung number of figure, kung first figure ba siya, second figure ba siya, third figure. Yung plus 1, kung mapapansin natin, ito yung square dun sa loob. Kasi 'di ba, habang nadadagdagan yung figure, dumarami rin yung square niya sa loob. And then, ito yung plus 1 natin times 2. Kasi kung mapapansin natin sa sequence niya, sa una meron tayong 4. And sa pangalawa meron tayong 6. So, 6 minus 4 is equals to 2. So, doon ang galing yun. So, magkakabuo tayo ng n plus 1 times 2. Ang hinahanap natin is yung 12 figure niya. So, ang gagawin natin, substitute lang natin yung 12 dun sa n. Ang formula natin ay n plus 1 times 2. So, magiging 12 plus 1 times 2. 12 plus 1 is equals to 13. Times lang natin sa 2. And then, makakabuo tayo ng 26 triangles. Para malaman natin kung tama ba yung kinuha nating formula, try natin i-substitute yung mga naunang figure. Gawin natin yung sa figure number 1. Papalitan lang natin yung value ng n ng 1. 1 plus 1 times 2. 1 plus 1 is equals to 2. 2 times 2 is equals to 4. So, tama. Sa figure number 1, meron tayong 4 triangles. Try na din naman natin sa figure number 2. Dito, papalitan lang natin ng 2 yung value ng n. So, magiging 2 plus 1 times 2. 2 plus 1 is equals to 3. 3 times 2 is equals to 6. And then, tama ulit yung nakuha nating sagot. So, tama yung ating nakuhang conclusion. We will now proceed to deductive reasoning.
Deductive reasoning is a step-by-step logical approach in which we are proving an idea by observation and testing. Dito sa deductive reasoning, hindi lang siya puro observation, meron din siyang testing and meron siyang mga facts na sinusunod. Bakit naman sinabing step by step? Dahil dito sa deductive reasoning, kapag hindi mo sinunod ng maayos yung mga steps and meron kang nagkamali na isang step, maaaring magkaroon ka ng maling conclusion. Sinasabi din dito na ang deductive reasoning is a valid form of proof. Kung sa inductive reasoning, sinusunod lang natin yung ating observation and hindi natin alam kung tama ba talaga yung ginagawa nating observation, kung tama ba yung kinalabasan ng ating observation dito sa deductive reasoning dahil gumagamit tayo ng mga facts. Dito mas makakabuo tayo ng tamang conclusion.
Example number 1. Prove that angle x is equals to 30 degree. Using the triangle sum property, it is said that the sum of the angles of a triangle is always 180 degree. So pag pinag-add natin, dapat ang magiging total sum ng mga angle is 180 degree. Dito sa figure makikita natin na given na yung 60 degree and then yung isang angle ay 90 degree because it is a right triangle and ang hinahanap natin ay yung value ng x which is dapat overall equal siya sa 180 degree. So add natin 60 degree plus 90 degree is equals to 150 degree plus x. So ito yung hinahanap natin is equal to 180 degree. Para matira yung x sa left side, ililipat natin yung 150. So magiging 180 minus 150 degree. So, ang x natin ay magiging 30 degrees. So, dito, na-prove natin na yung x, which is yung hinahanap natin, ay talagang 30 degrees. Dito, na-prove natin na tama na yung angle x is equals to 30 degrees based doon sa triangle sum property. Next, in the given diagram, prove that the hypotenuse is equal to 5 cm. Using the Pythagorean theorem, it is said that the square of the hypotenuse of a right-angled triangle is equal to the sum of the squares on the remaining two sides. Sa paggamit natin ng Pythagorean theorem, makikita na kapag in-squared natin yung hypotenuse niya, magiging equal siya dun sa two remaining sides kapag naka-squared din. So, meron tayo ditong formula which is a squared plus b squared is equals to c squared. Yung a squared tapos yung b squared, yun yung remaining two sides ng isang triangle. And then yung c squared naman, ito yung sa hypotenuse. First, gagawin natin is substitution. So, magiging 3 squared plus 4 squared is equals to 5 squared. Paano naging 5 squared daw? Because siya yung may pinakamahabang side. So, siya yung hypotenuse. So, 3 squared, 9. Plus 4 squared, which is 16, is equals to 5 squared is equals to 25. 25 is equals to 25. So, the diagram below prove that the hypotenuse is equals to 5 cm. Next, all the angles should be equal to 360 degrees. Makikita natin sa figure given na yung tatlong measurement ng angles which is 90 degree, 78 degree, and hinahanap natin ay value ng D overall 360 degree which is yung total kapag pinag-add natin yung lahat ng degree. So, 90 degree plus 78 degree plus 90 degree is equals to 258 degree plus D is equals to 360 degree. Lipat lang natin yung 258 sa kabilang side, magiging negative. So, D is equals to 360 degree minus 258 degree. D is equals to 102 degree. So, kapag pinag-add natin yung 90 plus 78 plus 90 plus 102, ang magiging total niya is 360 which is equal siya sa isa't isa. So, the diagram shows that all the angles are equal to 360 degree. Ang next example natin ay nahati sa statement and reason. So, ang given natin, 5x minus 18 is equals to 3x plus 2. And dahil nga ang deductive reasoning ay may step-by-step process, makita natin dito sa table na meron siyang step-by-step process which is nag-start sa subtraction property of equality which is yung 5x and 3x is pinag-minus na natin. So, ang natira na lang ay 2x minus 18 is equals to 2. Kasunod na ginawa, addition property of equality. So, para matira yung 2x dun sa kabila, minilipat yung 18 which is magiging positive. 18 plus 2 is equals to 20. And finally, gagamitin na natin yung division property of equality para malaman natin yung kung ano ba talaga yung pinaka-value ng x which is pareho natin siyang i-divide sa 2 para mawala yung 2 sa 2x, and then magiging ang final answer na lang niya is x is equals to 10 because 20 over 2 is equals to 10. So, ganyan ang deductive reasoning. May pinapalo siya na step-by-step procedure.
Sa last given example natin, meron tayong given which is angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. Pag sinabi natin congruent, they have the same angle length. So, magkapareho sila ng measure ng angle. We must prove that the following statements are true. Letter A, angle 3 and angle 4 are supplementary angle. Kapag sabing supplementary angle, dapat yung angle 3 and angle 4, kapag pinag-plus mo yung measurement ng kanilang angle, magiging siyang 180 degrees. So, yun yung supplementary angle. And dito sa figure natin, wala siyang given na measurement ng angle 3 and angle 4 dahil yung given niya lang ay angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. So, hindi natin malalaman kung yung pag pinag-add ba, pag pinag-add yung measurement ng angle 3 and angle 4 is magiging 180 degrees. Hindi natin mapuprove kung tama ba siya kasi kulang yung given natin or kulang yung facts natin. Sa letter B naman, angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. Dito sa figure, makikita natin na yung line L and line M is parallel to each other in which angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. And so, kung yung angle 1 is congruent to angle 4, which is yung given natin, and then yung angle 4 is also congruent to angle 3 kasi siya ay parallel. And so, yung ating angle 4 and angle 3 is congruent because yung ating line L and line M is parallel to each other. And so, kung yung angle 1 is congruent to angle 4, yung angle 4 is congruent to angle 3, then it is correct that angle 1 is also congruent to angle 3. So, na-prove natin na tama yung letter B. Sa letter C naman, angle 2 is congruent to angle 3. Kung yung angle 2 ba, ay talaga siyang congruent sa angle 3. Dito, kung yung angle 1, sinabi natin kanina, is congruent to angle 4, which is the given. Kung yung angle 4 is congruent to angle 3, is tama din. And yung angle 1 and angle 3 is congruent. Therefore, yung angle 1 is also congruent to angle 2. And if they are congruent, then it is true that angle 2 is also congruent to angle 3. So, dito sa example natin na to, na-prove natin na tama yung letter B and letter C based sa given na facts and then dun sa figure.
Slide. Deductive reasoning. Although deductive reasoning seems rather simple, it can go wrong in more than one way when deductive reasoning leads to faulty conclusion. The reason is often that the premises were incorrect. Another instance in which deductive reasoning doesn't work is when it is not executed properly. Deductive reasoning is perfectly effective when all of the premises are true and each step in the process of deductive reasoning follows logically from the previous step. Dito sinasabi na sa deductive reasoning, pwede ka rin magkaroon ng maling conclusion o maling sagot kapag hindi mo pinalo ng tama yung mga steps and procedure na kinakailangan. Halimbawa, sa 5, meron kang 5 step and then nagkamali ka kaagad doon sa pangalawang step mo. So, ang kalalabasan talaga niyan, magkakaroon ka ng maling sagot at the end.
Ano nga ba yung pinagkaiba ng deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning? So, dito nga sinabi ko kanina, inductive reasoning, observation lang siya ng mga patterns na given. And then with our observation, makakabuo na tayo ng conclusion which is hindi natin alam kung tama ba talaga or mali. Kasi nagdepend lang tayo dun sa ginawa nating observation sa mga pattern. Dito naman sa deductive reasoning, dahil nga meron tayong mga facts and meron tayong steps na sinusunod, magkakaroon tayo ng mga predicted result which is magkakaroon tayo ng tamang conclusion or tamang result kung sinunod natin na maayos yung mga step and nag-base tayo dun sa mga facts na given. Isa pa sa inductive reasoning, di ba nagsisimula siya sa maraming patterns and then dito makakabuo tayo ng isang conclusion kasi i-generalize natin. Magtitira lang tayo ng isa, no? Conclusion. Sa inductive reasoning, tayo ay mag-generalize in which sa dami ng patterns na given na maipapakita sa atin, makakabuo lang tayo ng isang conclusion. Dito naman sa deductive reasoning, marami siyang facts na given and then dito sa mga facts na to, dito lang tayo makakabuo din ng isang conclusion or result. Dito din makikita natin deductive reasoning versus inductive reasoning. Sa inductive reasoning, pagsasama-samahin muna natin yung mga nakuha nating information based dun sa observation natin sa mga patterns, and then dito, i-generalize natin siya para makabuo tayo ng isang conclusion. Sa deductive reasoning naman, meron tayong mga facts, and sa mga facts na yon, sasalain natin siyang mabuti kung alin lang ba dun sa mga facts na yun yung ating gagamitin, and then dito makakabuo na tayo ng isang specific at tamang conclusion.
Let us now proceed to the last subtopic of reasoning, which is the conditional statement. Ano nga ba ang conditional statement? Conditional statement has two parts, a hypothesis and a conclusion. If the statement is written in if-then form, the if part contains the hypothesis and the then part contains the conclusion. Conditional statement can either true or false. To show that a conditional statement is true, we must present an argument that the conclusion follows for all cases that fulfill the hypothesis. Ang conditional statement daw ay binubuo ng dalawang part, which is yung first is hypothesis and yung second is yung conclusion, which is yung if is the hypothesis and the then is the conclusion. Ang conditional statement daw is pwedeng tama o mali. Para daw maipakita natin na tama yung ating conditional statement, dapat mag-present tayo ng mga argument. For example, yung conditional statement natin is if a polygon has 4 sides, then it is a quadrilateral. Yung if a polygon has 4 sides, ito yung tinatawag natin na hypothesis, and then it is a quadrilateral, ito naman yung tinatawag natin na conclusion. To verify the statements are correct, we take a deeper look at our if-then statements. This is why we form the converse, inverse, and contrapositive of our conditional statements. Meron tayo dito example, if today is Wednesday, then yesterday was Tuesday. So kung ngayon ay Wednesday, kahapon ay Tuesday. Ang magiging hypothesis natin is if today is Wednesday, nasusundan ng ating conclusion, which is then yesterday was Tuesday. So magiging if today is Wednesday, then yesterday was Tuesday. There are 3 subtopics of conditional statements, which are converse, inverse, and contrapositive. The first one is the converse of a statement. We are using the converse when we switch or interchange our hypothesis and conclusion. Yung example natin kanina na conditional statement is, if today is Wednesday, then yesterday is Tuesday. So kapag ginamit natin yung converse, isi-switch lang daw natin or pagpapalitin lang natin yung hypothesis and conclusion ng given conditional statement. So magiging, if yesterday was Tuesday, then today is Wednesday. So pinagbaliktad lang, kung kanina nauna yung if today is Wednesday, then yesterday was Tuesday, dito naman pinagbaliktad lang siya, so magiging if yesterday was Tuesday, then today is Wednesday. So pagbabaliktarin lang natin yung hypothesis and conclusion. Sa inverse of a statement naman, the inverse of a conditional statement is found by negating or make negative both the hypothesis and conclusion of the conditional statement. Dito naman, hindi natin siya pagbabaliktarin, pero i-negate natin yung hypothesis and conclusion. Balik tayo dun sa conditional statement natin kanina, which is if today is Wednesday, then yesterday is Tuesday. So, i-negate lang natin siya pareho, yung hypothesis and conclusion. Kaya magiging statement niya is, if today is not Wednesday, then yesterday was not Tuesday. Kung mapapansin nyo, dinagdagan lang natin siya ng not para manegate natin yung hypothesis and conclusion. The last one, contrapositive of a statement. Contrapositive is formed by interchanging the hypothesis and conclusion and then negating both. Dito, marami tayong process na gagawin. Hindi lang natin pagbabaliktarin yung hypothesis and conclusion, but ininegate din natin sila pareho. Original statement nga natin, if today was Wednesday, then yesterday was Tuesday. Una, i-interchange muna natin. Magiging if yesterday was Tuesday, then today is Wednesday. And kailangan pa rin natin siyang i-negate. Here is another example. Guitar players are musician. Magiging conditional statement natin is if you are a guitar player, which is the hypothesis, then you are a musician, which is the conclusion. So, if you are a guitar player, then you are a musician. So, ang magiging converse natin, ulitin yung hypothesis and conclusion. Magiging, if you are a musician, then you are a guitar player. Dito naman sa inverse, ininegate lang natin siya pareho, hindi natin siya pagbabaliktarin, ininegate lang natin. Ang magiging statement natin, if you are not a guitar player, then you are not a musician. So, ninegate lang natin siya pareho, hindi natin siya in-interchange. Sa contrapositive naman, i-interchange natin siya, but hindi pa yun doon natatapos kasi kailangan pa natin siyang i-negate pareho. Makikita natin yung converse, if you are a musician, then you are a guitar player, which is yun yung una natin gagawin, pagbabaliktarin. And then, in-next natin yung inverse, in-negate natin siya pareho. Here are the examples. Rewrite the following conditional statement in if-then form. So, letter A, 2 points are collinear if they lie on the same line. And letter B, a number is divisible by 9 is also divisible by 3. So, doon sa letter A, ang magiging hypothesis natin is if they lie on the same line, and then ang magiging conclusion natin ay 2 points are collinear. So, ang magiging final statement natin, if 2 points lie on the same line, then they are collinear. Letter B, ang magiging hypothesis natin is a number is divisible by 9, and yung magiging conclusion natin is yung also divisible by 3. So, kapag ginawa na natin siya sa if-then form, ang magiging final answer natin is if a number is divisible by 9, then it is also divisible by 3. Example number 2, write a counterexample show that the following conditional statement is false. So, if x squared is equals to 25, then x is equals to 5. As a counterexample, let us take x is equals to negative 5. The hypothesis is true because negative 5 squared is equals to 25. But the conclusion is false because it is given that x is equals to 5. It implies that the given conditional statement is false. Third example, write the converse of the following conditional statements. If two segments have the same length, then they are congruent. Ilalagay natin yung converse. Ano kayong converse? Ang converse ay pagbabaliktarin lang yung hypothesis and conclusion. Kapag pinagbaliktad natin yan, ang statement natin is, two segments are congruent, then they have the same length. Sa last example natin, meron tayong statement which is angle A is equals to 65 degree and angle A is obtuse. And meron din siyang negation which is angle A is not equal to 65 degree. Angle A is not obtuse. Ang magiging original statement which is yung conditional statement is if angle A is equal to 65 degree, then angle A is obtuse. Sa inverse naman, meron na tayong nakanegate. Ang magiging answer natin is if angle A is not equal to 65 degree, then angle A is not obtuse. So, converse naman, yung sa original, pagbabaliktarin lang natin. So, if angle A is obtuse, then angle A is equals to 65 degree. Sa contrapositive, pagbabaliktarin natin yung nasa original, pagbabaliktarin natin yung hypothesis and conclusion, and in-negate natin pareho. So, if angle A is not obtuse, then angle A is not equal to 65 degree. So, this is the end of our discussion for today. I hope you learned the 3 subtopic of reasoning, which is inductive reasoning, conditional statements, and deductive reasoning. Thank you for listening. God bless us all.